the parents.
Well, and this is a perfect example of what you're looking at here of what we're talking about. I mean, here you guys, Informed Families went out there, they came, they talked to me, they asked me to come here, they asked me to take the time to be here. I came here, they advertised all over the place, and here I am talking to the same 15 people I talk to all the time. Like preaching to the choir. It's like the parents, every time I go to a school, it's the same thing. That's why I stopped going to schools. I said, look, either you make it mandatory or I'm not going. Simple as that. I don't mind taking my time. I love talking to kids. I love advocating for kids. But if you guys don't make it mandatory and you don't force these parents to come here, and these are the private schools, and they get in trouble all the time. I'm talking to the guy who set the thing up, and I'm talking to him, and he's, oh my God, I got all this heat from the parents because I threatened the kids. I told them that if they didn't show up, the parents, I was going to make them do some extra work, and the parents all got up in arms about it. They don't want to take the time. They want to make it easy. See, they think that because they send a kid to your school, that you should be responsible for that. That you need to, do the right thing for that kid. That you need to, understand what he does at home, and you need to consequence him. They put the responsibility of parenting on the teachers, on counselors, on therapists. They put it on tutors. The responsibility of parent is a parent's responsibility. And that's where I see a big issue and a big problem. They don't want to take that responsibility. I'm tired. I work 3 jobs. I hear this all the time. Well, what do you work 3 jobs? Well, my kid's got a BlackBerry. Well, he's got an iPhone. Why does he have an iPhone? What is that going to do for him?
Feels good. Parents are doped up too.
Exactly. If my kid doesn't have an iPhone, he's a pariah because everybody else has got an iPhone. So I got to get an iPhone for my kid. So I got to work 3 shifts at work. I got to work 3 jobs to get him an iPhone, and I got to get him the sneakers, $120. I got to get them that stuff, and that's what's important for parents. Instead of, what happens to my kid's education, what happens to my kid's upbringing. They're putting that aside to worry about what the kids are wearing and what the kids are, using, iPhone, iPad, whatever they need. I think that's the problem. That's why I think education lies, we're going to be better for our kids if we keep educating the parents. Because, just because, one parent is educated and the other one isn't, doesn't solve the problem, does it? Because now you got a kid and you're in the school, and the parent is enabling the hell out of those kids, and then your kid is looking at that saying, my parent's the worst parent in the world. This kid gets to stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He's 14. He gets to go to Miami Beach. He gets to go to clubs. The parents buy them, the IDs, the fake IDs. These are federal offenses, people. Carrying a license from the state of Florida and faking it and giving it to your child, you're crazy. You're committing a federal offense. It's a felony. But they do it because, Johnny has one. And the kid is like, hey, look, you're the worst parent in the world. Look, this guy has a fake ID. This guy gets to go to clubs. I saw that in a show the other day, like yesterday in Miami. Kid, 17 years old, went, had a party, bought a bunch of bottles of champagne at a club. And I'm thinking, how old is this kid again? 17. So he's there arguing with mom about the situation. I'm thinking, how do you get into that club? Well, he got a fake ID. How's he going to get in there? How's he buying bottles of champagne? He spent $600 on this thing at a club on the beach, and then he had to pay to get in. He had to pay for the, for the ballet. Had to pay for this. I mean, it's like, where's that coming from? So parents are creating their own problems by enabling, by not, having consequences, by not dealing with the issue early on, by feeling sorry for the kids because they're tired, because they're divorced, because they have problems of their own, and that's seeping into the parenting process. There's resources out there, I tell parents. If you need them, find them. Get your kid involved with these resources. Get them in the after-school programs. Make them, do these things because they're not going to do them. Kids are very comfortable in America. They're very comfortable sitting there with their iPhones and, and texting and, they don't have to do anything. There's no pressure on them, And parents are, like this whole fight, Tiger Mom versus let the kid do whatever he wants, Mom. They're saying, we don't want to put pressure on our kids. We don't want to stress them out. You don't want to stress them out. You mean when you send them to these schools where everybody's being a thug and everybody's pushing everybody around and everybody's, like, oh, I got an iPhone and you got some, crappy phone. That's not stressing them out. Putting them in environments where they have to walk around and they're scared they're going to get jumped or they're going to get, because, the whole school's out of control. That's not putting stress on them. You mean they're putting stress on them to do work? And because you demand good grades and you demand, no bad language, and you demand that you clean your room and you wash your clothes, that's stress? I mean, that's not stress. Stress is, being in a crack house at 5 o'clock in the morning thinking you're going to get killed by somebody because you owe somebody money. That's stress. Stress is when these kids that are 14, 15 years old and they're doing internet gambling because every single kid out there has access to the internet, and they play these Warcraft games, and they play, Call of Duty, and they play all these video games, and they already meet all these people online. There's a whole community out there, people they're hooking up with. Some of these people are 30 years old, they're playing Call of Duty with your kids. These are 30-year-old burnouts sitting there, hitting a blunt, and playing Call of Duty with a 14-year-old, and they take those skills from the video games and they put them into gambling, video poker, video slots, and they have accounts. They all have accounts. Don't ask me how they get them, but they all have accounts online. They play basketball games. I mean, they even bet on their high school basketball games. This is the access they have. They have a bookie in school. They have a bookie at home. They got bookies everywhere. All they have to do is just go online, and there it is. Online gambling is a big problem. A kid tells you they're doing homework at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got news for you. They're not doing homework. They're either watching porn or they're playing poker, one of the two. So whose job is it to go in there and figure it out? All you got to do is, look at your computer's registry. It's that simple. Parents are like, oh my God, I can't do that. It's an invasion of privacy. I'm like, when you take a kid to the doctor and you do 300 tests on him and you test his saliva and his sweat, and that's not an invasion of privacy? But now you tell me you can't look at his computer? It's another excuse to enable. Get in there, get in that registry, and I'll guarantee you'll know everywhere that computer's been. And that's what a registry tells you on a computer. Put a program in there that sends you emails, alerts when your kid is watching porn, or when your kid is gambling online. But parents don't want to do that. They don't want to see the reality of where they're living and the world they're living in. They think that, if I tell my kid don't do this, the kid's not going to do it. And that's enabling too. Just because you tell your kid don't do this doesn't mean he's not going to do it. I mean, he's not lying to you. He's telling you the truth as he knows it. As he believes it. You know what I'm saying? Because they convince themselves and then they can convince the parent. If they believe the lie, then it's not a lie anymore. And that's what's happening. Any other questions? Did I scare everybody enough already?
Have you found a way to get the parents?
Excuse me?
Have you found a way to get to the parents?
I mean, like I said, the only way that I can get to parents is when they come to me. I mean, that's the problem. And by that time, they already got a jackpot. They already got a problem. I don't put a sign on US 1 that says, if you drive by here, call Marino. I don't do that. But when they call me, they already have the problem.
If the parent is not very old, say 45 or 50,
Right.
and has been a problem in the back, in his or her background,
Right.
how do you change that parent when that parent knows that this is going to be a phase that the child is through and he'll outgrow it?
Well, that's another great point. Everybody thinks that these are things you outgrow. You don't outgrow mental disorders. You don't outgrow mental disorders. You treat them. You don't outgrow diabetes. You understand what I'm saying? The guy who says, who's told he's diabetic and he's out there, grabbing a cookie and chipping on a cookie and, getting some, some sugar here and there, and next thing you know, they're on the floor in a diabetic coma. That's when they figure it out. You see what I'm saying? They're not going to figure it out. It's not going to change. You have to do something about it. These are mental disorders. That's why it's substance abuse, and that's why addiction, it's in the DSM-4, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. It is a mental disorder. Nobody wants to accept that. Oh, he's got a drinking problem. Oh, he's got a pot problem. Oh, he's got a coke problem. Oh, he's got a gambling problem. Oh, he's got a sexual problem. It's a problem here. There's an irrational belief system that has developed around that process that doesn't allow that person to see reality anymore. Just like the anorexic looks in the mirror and thinks she's 400 pounds and she only weighs 65 pounds, she really is seeing somebody who weighs 400 pounds. It's not that she's not seeing that. She is seeing that. And the person who has a substance abuse problem or the person who has an addiction problem doesn't see what everybody else sees. What's plain to everybody around them is not plain to them. They have a mental disorder that doesn't allow them to see what's going on. It's called denial. You know, they say denial is not a river in Egypt. You know, denial is real. The person cannot see it. And you can sit there and you can, you know, video slides, you know, PowerPoint presentation. You can do whatever you want, and they're going to sit there and go, blue. It's not yellow. The room is blue. You know, it's like it doesn't matter. They have a problem. They have a mental disorder that has developed